Hi everyone! I'll wait a few minutes while everybody gets notifications that I'm going live. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 common Instagram mistakes that I see from creatives and entrepreneurs and what to do to fix them. So for those of you that missed last week's Instagram Live, I was talking about Instagram and what it should be used for, and I went into a little bit about how it should be adding value. You should use Instagram as a business to position yourself as an expert in your industry. And you should really use it to grow an audience of potential clients and customers. And that way they can get to know you, and that way they know, like, and trust you, and then either hire you or buy from you. Hi, thank you for joining. So I'm going to be talking about the 5 most common mistakes that I see on Instagram from creatives and entrepreneurs. So the number one mistake that I see is business owners and brands that are on Instagram and they have their business account, but they're posting really off-topic content. So, pictures of their kids when their captions don't make any sense. They don't coordinate with their typical content. They don't coordinate with their business. Maybe they're posting pictures of their food or their pets or their house when their business has nothing to do with this content. Hi guys, thanks so much for joining. I'm going to be talking about the 5 most common mistakes that I see being made on Instagram from creatives and entrepreneurs. If you guys have questions about any of the content, feel free to pop in the comments. Hi guys, pop in and let me know what you're wondering, if you want anything cleared up. So the first mistake that I see the most often is off-brand or off-topic content. So things like food photos or kid photos or pet photos without any sort of connection to your brand or your business. You're not entertaining, you're not motivating or inspiring, you're not educating. It's just content for the sake of having content. And I highly recommend avoiding that at all costs for a number of reasons. So one, you're going to lose engagement on your posts. If your content is not resonating with people, if your content is not engaging or entertaining your audience, you're going to lose engagement, you're not going to get likes, you're not going to get comments, and then that tells Instagram and tells Instagram's algorithm, more importantly, that your content isn't worth showing to the rest of your audience, which we don't want. We want all of your audience to see your content, and we want it to be really engaging. So the other problem with posting really off-topic or off-brand content on Instagram is that you're going to confuse your audience. Maybe when they first found you, they started following you because you were posting really helpful tips about using oils. And then a couple weeks later, they're still interested in learning more about you. They're still getting to know you and your brand. And then suddenly you're talking about your vacation that you're going on, and you're not circling it back to your oils at all. It's completely off topic, and no one can really keep up with the purpose of your content, and you start to lose those followers and lose that engagement that you had previously worked so hard to gain. So I highly recommend keeping things on topic as much as possible. So instead of posting off-topic content, what you can do instead is teach something, inspire your audience, tell a story that motivates them, or find some way to entertain them. So a really good way to entertain them would be to share content that's really relatable. So me as a brand strategist, a lot of times I have outtakes of my photos. And while it's not educational or even inspirational, it's very entertaining, and my audience really likes that because they have tons of outtakes with their photos and their Instagram content. So sharing that while it's not educational, it's still really relevant, and my audience enjoys it and engages with it. And it's, just a way to circle it back to my business, so it's still on topic. Another mistake that I see made pretty often by creatives and entrepreneurs on Instagram this is probably the worst one, is sharing low quality or off-brand photos. And with iPhones, I see it pretty consistently now because people are just constantly taking photos and sharing them right away. And while I love to see what's going on behind the scenes, I think having a feed that's really inconsistent and not cohesive and just filled up with like really low quality images, it's really hard to grow an audience, and it's really hard to connect with your audience because they're missing your message, because your images don't stand out. They're a dime a dozen. There's millions of really bad photos out there on Instagram and everywhere else. So you're just kind of blending in instead of standing out. So I highly recommend learning how to take a decent photo with your iPhone. If you guys haven't already downloaded my free cohesive iPhoneography worksheet, you can get it by just clicking the link in my profile. It's for free. So just click over that link and you can grab it there. Hi guys, thanks for joining. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments. I would love to answer them. So one of the reasons that sharing really low quality images consistently on Instagram would be that it looks really unprofessional. If you're positioning yourself as a really high-end brand coach and yet your photos are inconsistent and low quality, you don't look like you know what you're talking about because you have yet to figure out how to brand your own photos. And the same goes for a number of different industries. You really want to put your best foot forward by sharing really high quality, attractive looking images. And they don't need to be professional. I know it's really hard to have consistent professional photos. Even myself, I can't do it, even though I can take my own photos. It's really hard to have enough content, but learning how to use your iPhone is highly recommended for taking photos. The other reason that low quality images aren't recommended is because they're obviously less appealing visually. Your audience really loses your message in that. And then obviously you get less engagement because they're just scrolling through and they don't stop to look at your image because they just pass on right on by it. So instead of sharing low quality images, you can improve your iPhone images and use a similar editing process or style with all of your images, and that keeps everything really cohesive. It has that really, it'll give you that nice flow in your Instagram that you really want. Everything will look very consistent, and your images will all kind of be branded to you instead of just having all of these haphazard images all over the place. And the other thing that you can do is post images with intention. So every time you post an image, there's a reason behind it instead of just haphazardly posting images that you've taken on the fly. Putting a lot of intention behind every image really creates that high quality feel, even if it's not taken from a high quality camera. Thank you guys for joining. I'm going over the 5 most common Instagram mistakes that I see from businesses on Instagram. So this third mistake that I see, and I'm just going to touch on it, I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but it's having bots or auto commenters turned on. If you do it, please don't do it anymore. Those of us that see it, we know exactly what's going on. I never click over or engage with bots or with people that use auto commenters. I see it right away, and it just makes me feel like that person's really inauthentic instead of spending the time to actually look at my account and write something nice. Instead, they just put like a hand clap emoji or a really generic note that says, "You have a beautiful feed," or "This is a great photo," or "Yes, I totally agree." All of those comments, 9 times out of 10, I can tell that they're bots and I don't engage with them. And I don't know for sure, but I feel like that has to be really, really bad for your algorithm if you constantly have bots commenting for you. So please be authentic and spend some time engaging with your audience, finding your tribe, using hashtags, and then not just using them on your own photos, but following through and clicking through those hashtags and connecting with other people that are in that same industry as you. So the fourth mistake that I see And this is really common, especially among people that are creatives and a little harebrained and have a hard time kind of sticking to things. I noticed that being inconsistent on Instagram can really, really hurt your brand and your Instagram algorithm, because you'll go and you'll post every day for like a week and a half, and then all of a sudden you post nothing for 3 weeks. All of the people that you've gathered over those, that week and a half that are used to seeing your content really consistently, you're now losing them because they're forgetting about you because you haven't come back on and said anything for 3 weeks. And then the new people that are coming in that click on your profile and see that you haven't posted anything in 3 weeks, they're not going to be interested in following you because they feel like your content's not being updated very often. And people want to follow people that are posting consistently and providing something interesting to their feeds or to their stories. So if you find that you're having a hard time being consistent on Instagram, even if it's just a few days in a row where you're like, I don't have anything to post, I highly recommend creating an Instagram content calendar. That way you know on Mondays you post quotes, on Tuesdays you share a blog post, on Wednesday you have a tip for your audience, on Thursdays you have a recommended tool or resource, Fridays you post behind the scenes, and so on and so forth. So you always know exactly what you should be talking about on certain days. Or you go a step further and schedule that content in advance. That way you don't have to think about it every single day and realize, oh my gosh, I forgot to post today. And if you guys are interested, I have these freebies. It's a free Instagram content calendar. And then it also comes with this worksheet to kind of help you come up with some ideas of what you should be posting. I went over this in another Instagram Live, but if you guys want to download those, you can go to Brand Strategy Co. /free-calendar, I believe. So if you guys are interested, you can grab that and really start brainstorming what type of content you should be posting and put a calendar together so you're always really consistently creating engaging content for your audience. Ever since I've started being consistent on Instagram, my following has obviously grown, but I've gotten more inquiries and I've gotten more comments, and my engagement's really up because my audience knows exactly what to expect from me and when to expect it. They know that I'm not going to leave them for a couple weeks. They know I'm consistently showing up and sharing really interesting and high quality education and tips and fun behind the scenes. So consistency is key, especially with content on Instagram. And then finally, the fifth mistake that I see businesses and brands making on Instagram is only sharing front end or customer facing content. And what that means is they're constantly like buttoned up and only talking about their products or their services. And I definitely did this in the past where I would only talk about, hey guys, I have a new blog post. Hey guys, here's a new service that I offer. Hey guys, here's a new product. Hey guys. And it was just really cold and lifeless and very robotic. And once I stopped doing that and started sharing more behind the scenes content and just really sharing my heart and my vision for my business and my struggles and my excitement, my audience really, really responded to that and got more excited, and they felt like they knew me more and could really resonate with me and what I was saying. And that's so important when you have millions and millions of users on a single platform. You want to stand out, and the best way to do that is by sharing some personal information. And it doesn't have to be like overly personal, but it definitely can be way more than the typical buttoned up, a robot could write this sentence sort of thing on social media. So some of the things that you could be posting that's not necessarily client facing or front end or buttoned up or whatever could be just more behind the scenes videos and photos. I love sharing what it looks like to be shooting a product photography shoot behind the scenes. So obviously the resulting photos are beautiful and they're really fun to share, but the behind the scenes really puts my audience in the place of me, where they can see exactly what I'm doing, what my props look like, what my process is, what my editing's like. And that way, down the road, if they're thinking, oh, I really need to, invest in brand photography or invest in product photography, who am I going to go? Who am I going to hire? I'll probably be at the top of the list because they've already seen exactly how I work. They see what my beginning looks like, and then they see my end product. And they know that I create really consistent and high quality content, and I'm constantly front of mind without constantly spamming people with all of my product photos, which I really don't share a ton of my actual end products, but I share a ton in my stories of my behind the scenes photos, which my audience engages with way more than when I just share a post that says something along the lines of, "Ooh, I got to photograph this beauty product. I loved it so much. What do you guys think?" That gets no engagement compared to when I'm showing them, "Hey guys, I'm photographing this brand product today. Follow along behind the scenes. These are the props. This is what I'm buying for it. This is how I am styling things. These are my backdrops. This is my tripod. This is what's going on. This is my entire process start to finish." So really including people in the entire process allows them to know exactly what's going on and what I'm all about. And they get to know my personality more instead of just constantly being behind the screen and being really robotic, which it took me a long time to get out of that comfort zone. But once I did, my audience really, really resonated with it and they enjoyed it a ton. And I feel like I'm really making connections with my audience now on my Instagram. I feel like people are DMing me more, and I'm really getting to know one-on-one what my audience is looking for and what their struggles are. And that way I can provide that much more content for them. So it's just been way more enjoyable that way to put myself out there a little bit on Instagram. So like I said, you can post behind the scenes, you can post just videos of what's going on. It doesn't all necessarily need to be behind the scenes, but just even a caption that is really true to life, where you're like, "Hey, I didn't always enjoy being an entrepreneur, but I do it every day and this is why." Or some days I feel like getting a real job. And I remember when I posted that a few months ago, when I admitted that I did take a real job for a few days, my audience really connected with me because my entire target audience is entrepreneurs. And as an entrepreneur, I know that we all really struggle with that inconsistent income and wondering when the next paycheck's coming. So by sharing that little tidbit of information that I actually did get a real job for a couple days, my audience felt like they knew me a little bit more, where, front-facing my content on Instagram, it probably looks like I have everything figured out and I have all these clients coming in the door and I'm always happy and everything's great. But when I shared that, it's really stressful and I don't always have money coming in the door or clients, and I don't always know what I'm doing. My audience just really connected with me, and I enjoyed getting to know people better that way, and I think they did as well. And then just also sharing my processes for things. I got tons of DMs at my last photo shoot when I was sharing behind the scenes content of how I set up my product photos, where I start out with really minimal props and really minimal products, and then I slowly added more props and colors and things like that. And everybody was just so excited for those tips, even though to me it seemed obvious. But once I shared about it, a lot of people really connected with that small piece of advice because I was sharing it in real time and people were connecting with it. But anyway, those are all 5 tips. I'm going to run over them one more time. And then if you guys came in late and you want more information, the replay will be up for 24 hours. And then I'm going to download it and add it to my blog. So I'll send out an email once that's ready. But to overview everything, 5 most common mistakes that I see on Instagram from businesses and brands. So the top mistakes brands are making on Instagram is posting off-topic content, sharing low-quality or off-brand photos, using bots or auto commenters or whatever that's called to comment on people's content, being inconsistent with their amount of posting, and then finally only sharing front-end or customer-facing content instead of really sharing their heart and their vision for their business. So yeah, that's everything. If you guys wanted the freebies, the social content planner and calendar are at brandstrategyco.com/free calendar, and the cohesive iPhoneography worksheet download is you can find it by clicking through the link in my profile and my Instagram profile. But thank you guys so much for watching. I was excited to see you all here, and I'll let you know once the replay is available. Bye guys.